Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompiani, and boy, do we have a lot to get into. We have games, believe it or not, and we will talk about that. We'll get into training camp for the Pittsburgh Steelers begins this week, although it's totally different than what you've ever seen. We'll talk about some of that. Also, the bubble in Toronto. The Penguins are there as they begin what they hope is a long, maybe their longest road trip ever in their team history en route to a Stanley Cup. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown is the Pirates, who won today and gave Derek Shelton his first managerial win after 2 losses in St. Louis. Panel tonight, Rich Walsh, my colleague here at KDKA, and Chris Muller up 93-7, The Fan. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Chris, start with you. 1 and 2, bullpen looked bad the first 2 days. Bullpen looked excellent today. What your overall thought is of what you saw from the 3 games in St. Louis?
Well, I think they're going to be, what we saw is like something that's pretty indicative of what the Pirates are. They're going to lose more series than they win. I think if they're going to be close to 500, it's going to be because they'll beat up on the Tigers and the dregs of the AL Central. But this isn't really a good baseball team. It's got a lot of flaws. And I think my big takeaway, and maybe you guys might, your mileage may vary here, I'm glad Mitch Keller battled without his best stuff, didn't have a perfect game by any stretch, didn't go in deep into the game. I'm just glad he battled and pitched. The numbers didn't look bad and he got a win. Like, for me, his progress is probably more important than that of anybody else on the team and the team's actual performance this season.
Guys, the starting pitching, I have some hope there for the starters. I'm a little bit optimistic. I like what I saw today. The bullpen, I don't know how to feel. I was told this was the strength of this team. They've been awful. And the offense is just as bad. You look at those first 2 games, 12 of 18 innings, those first 2 games, they went 1, 2, 3. You don't have enough bats in this lineup. That's a problem. And this is kind of what I figured would happen. They would lose 2 out of 3, which makes them 20 and 40. I had them at 19 and 41, around there somewhere. So they are what they are. I expect them to lose 2 out of every 3.
Well, when you look at
the
it
Pittsburgh
also,
Pirates are who Rich thought they were.
But he's got Bucko fever, though.
I do have Bucko fever. I root for him. I want him to win. Come on.
Well, we all do. But
so with the way you're talking about it, is Bucko fever like Stockholm Syndrome? If you think they're going to be bad, but you want to stick around for it? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Now, hey, look, the most devastating sports moment of my life was when the Pirates lost to the Braves, Sid Bream. And, I've been a Pirates fan since I'm young, and I want them to win. And I live and die with these guys. But you just look at it. I got to be a realist here, and you look at it. They don't have hitting. They have a couple bats, but they don't have a complete team. And the bullpen, which I thought would be pretty good, is horrible.
Wow.
Their starting pitching has come around, and, I'm hoping that Mitch Keller can turn into that #1 guy that everyone has thought he could be.
That's the thing with this team. They have been bad at developing. The trade last year was Tampa, was a backbreaker, and it always will be. But they need guys to step up. Keller was brought here to be that man. It's taken a while. You look at Brian Hayes. He's been in the organization for a lot of years. Haven't seen any of him yet. You look at a guy like, Will Craig, the first baseman. He's another guy. They need guys to develop, and if they don't, they're not going to spend money. It's difficult. It's a below average team, but they do have some arms in the bullpen, and we'll see.
Hey, Bob, how about spend a little bit of money?
They won't.
Just spend a little bit. Go get another bat. Go get another starting pitcher, and maybe they could contend for one of those eight playoff spots.
Well, I thought for sure, Chris, that with only 60 games, you should have done that if you're a team like this. Why not go out and spend some money with a chance at an abbreviated season? Because 162 reveals the good teams. You won't last 162, but 60 maybe you could have. I thought that was a mistake by then.
I think that Ben Cherington knows exactly what he's got on that roster, and that, Yasiel Puig in the lineup isn't probably going to make a whole lot of difference to what they are. So I could give them almost not a pass on not spending this year, but I could understand why. And if you get to the point where 3 years from now, some of these young players they have actually panned out, O'Neill Cruz way down in the minors is now in the majors at that point, then you better spend money. And this goes back to something else I'll say. We all clamor for a salary cap in this sport. It kills teams like the Pirates that you don't have an even playing field. Give me a salary floor way before you talk about a cap, because that would be much more helpful to baseball.
Yeah, I think you need both, but yes, that'll be a nice starting point for sure.
The luxury tax kind of acts like a salary cap. If you get a salary floor, I know it's not perfect, but if you get a salary floor and at least make teams spend $100 million, now we're talking. But look, I wish they would just have came out at the beginning of the year and said, we're rebuilding. I understand you might lose some fans, but say we're rebuilding. Don't give people this false hope. You know, like, I'm rooting for these guys, but say we're rebuilding. Say our intentions are trying to win, but we know we're going to finish last, and we know we're going to get a top pick
They're
here.
never gonna do
and we're
that,
going to
though.
build this way.
They're never going to do it.
I understand that, but you either got to say we're rebuilding or you got to spend money. It's one or the other.
They would
because
have
this middle of the road
Rich,
stuff
they
doesn't
would have
work.
earned fans. They would have earned more fans, I think,
you're right.
with honesty. I think fans here understand how it is, and the team might want to say, well, we're like Neil Huntington really hung himself out to dry with that. We're going to keep the window open in perpetuity nonsense. It led to bad moves. It led to them trying to skimp around the edges. It was never going to work. Pirates fans understand the score, so to speak. They know that you have to recycle, reload. You have to be bad for a couple of years. I hold up the Milwaukee Brewers as the shining example of this. Their owner flat out said, we're going to stink for a couple of years. It is in service of the idea that we will get good players in here again, young players, make some moves, and be competitive. And look what happened.
Yep. All right, let me talk about expanded playoffs, because right before this season began, the two sides did go back and approve expanded playoffs, which I like. 16 teams, that's more than half of the field, Rich. More than half of baseball franchises will make it. My question to you is not so much this year, but does this stay around after this year? Because I think it will. You? I
think it will, too. I think it's exciting. I like the format this year. I mean, I know it gives more teams chances. I don't think the Pirates realistically have a chance. Maybe they are in the conversation later in the year, and at least we could hope that. Maybe things come around, but I think it's good for baseball in general. I also, like, we go back to the salary. I wish we'd see a salary cap and a salary floor, but more teams in the playoffs, I like it. It gives it some excitement. It gives you a chance to root for teams that normally wouldn't be in the mix, but are because of the added postseason teams.
Given that this should be like the funny farm season where you're out there experimenting with what does and doesn't work, I have no problem with it. But the entire appeal of baseball is that even with the recent playoff expansion to 5 teams in each league, it still only puts 1/3 of its participants into the postseason. The regular season, when it's normally 162 games, is an awesome test of who is well built as a franchise. I don't want to water that down and make the regular season, the longest one in sports, a lot less meaningful by having it be just like the NBA, just like the NHL, where the majority of class, at the very least, gets a participation trophy. But that's the way we're headed, and because sports fans in this country adore the playoffs, I have a feeling Pandora's not going back in the box.
Chris, but aren't those leagues much better than than MLB? I mean, when you look at it, it seems like, you know,
I mean, does an 8 seed in the NBA have a chance to win in their first
no,
round
but an
series?
8
Probably
seed
not.
In Major League Baseball might have a chance in a 3 or 4 or 5 game series.
If a team that's 26-34 gets in and beats a number 1 seed, is that really good for the sport, or does that show that you just made a 60-game season a complete crapshoot in the postseason?
First thing
the
they're gonna do
Dodgers
is
go
they're
down
gonna
in flames
reduce-
to a team that's 10 games under. What does that do for baseball?
They're going to reduce next year. If they're going to have this, I believe they'll reduce from 162 down. They're not going to play. If they have more meaningful games in playoffs and makes more money, they'll do it that way and sacrifice some.
And then
of the
owners will
regular
lose
season.
money. I don't see that happening,
no, they
Bob.
won't. They make more money because playoff games
Not
value
if the
more
playoff.
money.
No, if it's 154 and you add a bunch of playoff games, they won't, because they make just an overwhelming amount of their money off national TV from the playoffs.
Right.
So I could see them doing that, but make it meaningful. Cut it past 154. Cut it down to like 148. That would be something I would pay to see.
Right. Well, this is opening up Pandora's box here. We're going to see a lot of different things, and if some of it works, I think you'll see some of it stick. So we have a lot more getting into tonight. We're going to talk about the Penguins coming up. They made their move to Toronto. It should be exciting when they start. That's Saturday coming up. We'll get into that. We'll also talk about the NFL, which has finally agreed to stuff. But first, I got to tell you, it's exciting when a team moves into a new building. And that is certainly true with the team at #1 Cochran Hyundai South Hills and their spacious new facility, even though they only moved less than a mile up the street. Right now, for a limited time, check it out. Get grand opening special offers in both sales and service. It's the new #1 Cochran Hyundai in South Hills, now conveniently located at 3220 West Liberty Avenue. Check them out at #1 Cochran. When we come back, Penguins in the bubble. What will they do in Montreal best of 5? We'll get into that and their roster next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. The #1 Cochran Sports Showdown is brought to you by #1 Cochran. Go one better. And by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Have a greater hand in your health.